that if you behave, if you're a leader, you should, first of all, you should be conscious of what you do. If you behave the way Bobi Wine behaves at political rallies, at political confrontation, or Honorable Zaki, you don't expect.
You better state to them how they behaved this time. Because it is also wrong to hold someone responsible for their earlier behavior, because that becomes revenge and it becomes premeditated.
In Arua, for example, Bobi Wine was on a caterpillar.
Was he?
Yes. He then invaded 3 different rallies of Bruce Musema. At one point, he stopped where Kizza Besigye was addressing, and Kizza Besigye had to stop for about 15 minutes when Bobi Wine was beckoning the crowd to abandon Besigye and join and move away with him. And when you behave that way, yes, you can run away from scene of crime, but police and other security agencies will follow you. Even if you run to Congo, they will follow you. And therefore, this argument that, oh, you see, he was found in a hotel. Yes, you commit an offense on the street and you run in a hotel, in one hotel, the other one, and you go and hide in another one. Yes, they will look for you. I don't say they should torture you and so on. However, if they come to arrest you and you disobey and you turn violent, most likely, and that's why the question he asks, how come Wadri, Karuhanga, and others don't have similar or the same problems as they? If you get into a brawl, you expect to get away with a scratch. The scratch may be deep, may be slight. Now, we can go and investigate how deep that scratch is, what caused it. But that is the point I want to make. I'm not justifying brutality whatsoever. And that's why I said the UPDF and the police, as a normal practice, conducts a review after every operation to take remedial actions. We hope in this particular case, mainly because his hold is affecting high-profile people. And I think we are missing this debate. There are many more people who have been injured by the testimonies the president has made, the testimonies the same opposition people have made, the women who were beaten in Jinja, that we should discuss broadly and deeply why do we have each time these elements from the opposition are in election.
And someone would also then ask you, someone would then ask you where we are now, treason charges being preferred.
Yes.
Do those brawls, like, interrupting Dr. Besigye's rally, interrupting the rally of Musema, do they amount to treason charges?
Well, I don't have, I'm not privy to the charge sheet, to the ingredients of the treason charge. There are many ingredients to a treason charge, or even to a murder charge. And so, I think I would leave those, and we should leave that to the investigators and to the prosecution. Okay. But let me go about treason and whether it is court or court-martial or civilian court. General Mutu here talked about violence and so on. And Mao alluded to it. Omara Tubo was picked from his office at Parliament Building in 1988. General Moses Sali was picked on his way from Entebbe. There was no fracas. He was not involved in any form of fracas. Nyanzi, Dr. Luanga, Andrew Kaira were picked from their homes, from their offices, and taken to Basima House and kept in solitary confinement without light for days and weeks. And therefore, I am saying these who have come from a dark past, we thought that after 32 years, we shouldn't be doing these things. And therefore, the issue should be, if now it is being instigated by elected leaders, I just want to say to them that tough action must be taken against leaders, particularly elected leaders, who enjoy immunity and they think they are going to retreat under the cover of immunity. Tough action must be taken to them to send a clear message that when you break the law, when you bring violence in politics, not just election, in politics, you are not going to use any immunity.
Can I ask
you
and you shouldn't use any immunity.
You want to ask
just one question?
You can ask.
if he concedes?
No, OO has said that the reason why Honorable Robert Chagulanyi was picked up is because of the way he conducted himself in his rallies.
That's now selective, because you are picking a tail end of my argument.
But are you saying you never said that?
No, you are picking a tail end of my argument selectively to suit your narrative, and I am saying by the time police and investigators and eventually they are able to convince the DPP that treason is the right charge, incitement of violence is the right charge, I would imagine they have prima facie and perhaps
now I was asking a question
evidence.
Before I have put it. He is coming in. Anyway, you know Robert Chagulanyi, a.k.a. Bobi Wine, is an artist, he's a performer. I've actually never heard him telling people. He has boldly said that, you know what, you young people, for us, we should not be patient anymore. We must remove this man, that chair on which he's sitting, we are going to remove it. Now, the purpose of political contest is like fighting for a trophy. Now, France has the trophy. If I start training and I send a message and say, France, enjoy that trophy, but after 4 years we are coming for it, that's not threatening violence. So now to say somebody is on top of a grader, I have seen Honorable Salam Musumba on top of a pickup with pipes that Mamba,
So,
that
are you saying that
FDC Mamba.
Are you saying that
I hope he has asked his question. Can
I don't want to leave the debate with only the two or three of you. I need to bring in Honorable Salam Musumba.
You see, Honorable Mao, it is like this argument of people saying that, you see, these demonstrators who are lighting fire on the road are not armed. How do you define being armed? You may be armed with the matchbox. And if you're armed with the matchbox and 1 liter of petrol, then you have that's an ammunition. And therefore,
for aggravated robbery, armed can also be with the knife.
With the knife, yeah, and therefore, security forces, if they have marked that the way you are armed, you are a danger either to yourself or to the community, they should use appropriate means within the law to curtail.
I want to bring in Honorable Salam Musumba, but you see, and I want to ask her on the reason why, and we are trying to really tease out what is really the cause of all this. Is it only the fight for the presidency? Some people say, yes, it is because of that. General Muntu has said it is because we are failing to manage change. President Museveni is refusing to leave, so the issue is because of him. Some people are saying a by-election for a constituency. Is that a do or die, like the Right Honorable Jacob Olanya has just said, that just for a by-election for a constituency, why must we spill...
Doctor, yes. I also want to challenge General Muntu on the issue that because we removed the term limit, and now we have removed age limit.
The safety valve.
When did we start having election violence since NRM came?
No, you are now stealing, you are now tactfully, you are being clever, stealing someone's time by giving an example when you are going into...
We had more violence in 2001.
I'm coming to that. I want it as a whole point.
We had not removed the term limit.
Can you take a note and say, next I come to you, you Please. Put that on. But the Honorable Salam Musumba, why the do or die? That we need that to come out. Why must we fight? Why must FDC say that this election, by-election in Arua municipality, we must win it come rain, come sunshine? Why must the team of President Museveni or NRM, with all the overwhelming majority, I think 76% of 75, they have it. Why must they turn a by-election for only one person and ride over, break broken skulls in order to get it?
It's a do or die, and it should be.
Why?
Because that's what politics is.
Ah.
Yes. But I want to
Tell
take
us.
us back. I want to take us back to the fracas in Arua. Have you interrogated how a presidential motorcade runs into an ambush? Has anybody told us what all those military, ISO, ESO, and everybody does when they go there to waylay a president into an ambush of stones? Because I suppose that they map the road of his entry and his exit. They have snipers, we know. They have insecurity. But you use the sniper on the wrong guy. You see? You use the sniper on the wrong guy.
That's the allegation.
No, it's not an allegation. That's what happened. So for me, I would want to know.
You're making me laugh at a sad event.
No, it's really very sad. Or tell us, your security detail, your motorcade, how does it get pelted?
President F. Kennedy was assassinated.
Listen to him again.
Are you saying that
Just
the route
listen
was
to
not
him
mapped?
again.
There was
Listen.
no separate service?
Listen. For me, I was in Arua.
The procession.
You mean they didn't know? The guys
It
who
was
were
not-
mapping the route, they didn't know?
No,
There was no advance
Usually,
vehicle?
processions meet and they pass each other.
come on.
But this time, that's why I said
Come
there's a
on,
crop
you-
of politicians
come
who
on.
think they
It
must
is
use the
not
violence.
true.
Yes.
It is not true. You must introspect. You must look into
So what is
who
true?
is in security. What is true that is that they fell in an ambush. They weren't prepared. Not even to move a president from point A to point B. And must you then take it up
So
on...
he slept in Arua, he remained there.
But
They
you
were able
guys,
to deliver him the helicopter. What are you saying?
I'm saying they fell in an ambush. Whatever that ambush led them to do, because that's the justification you're using, to go and beat up people and maim people. I am asking you, who is in charge of the detail of the routing of the president?
Can I ask both of you? You are
Because
arguing
so much
over this.
pain.
Didn't the, let's say the horse himself, the president in this case, didn't he tell us that I was not under threat, I had already passed, and that I was taken safely to the helicopter?
You're missing
Isn't
the
that
point.
what he said?
No, the point he was
misrepresenting
making
him.
was that whether you attack him or not, for him he is protected. But his worry is these goons, these hooligans, threatening the lives of other Ugandans. That's the point he
I
was
want
making.
you to note
misrepresent
that
what
the
he said.
failure
So that is
starts-
what has led to the treason case.
that the failure starts from State House. It starts with the presidency. It starts with security. Before you load it over the people of Arua and the different groups. Because the different groups were not the ones that led to this.
Honorable
It was
Sarah,
you.
I had said earlier on that after every operation,
Yeah.
including that one, the relevant security agencies conduct reviews.
Yes.
I hope and I expect that SFC command must have conducted or is conducting a review. And
So what do you want us to tell the people?
Operational commander of that day, the commander of the convoy, and so on, most likely
Will answer.
will be
He
asked-
should be charged
will
with
be-
treason.
No,
He
that's
must
according
be
to you.
charged with
I'm saying
treason for
they'll be made
leading.
to answer either administratively or otherwise. That's
Would-
how.
do you think that they should be held responsible for some of these deaths?
that will depend and can only depend
Can you hear
on the
them?
investigations.
Just hear
Okay.
them.
Good.
And as has been already said, for example, the DISO, the DPC of Arua, who were the frontline officers of that day in Arua, have been suspended. I do believe, I have not conducted a check, but I do believe some action has been taken within the SFC command in that respect.
They're also suspects.
Let me
No, but what
bring
is
in
making here is that
General.
The president
No, well,
was just leaving the NRM rally. Then he just meets this procession of Honorable Waduri's supporters. And then his convoy is paraded
You
with
were not
stones.
there.
No.
Where?
We were there.
where?
As he leaves Arua town, as he goes to where the...
No,
Yes.
Honorable Baramusi, don't go into that because
Why?
Because
I
you
lived
don't
in
know.
Arua.
You don't
I lived in
know.
Arua, and I know that place very well. From Arua Hill to the hospital, and then you branch to the left to take a Diofe Road. I know that place very well.
In Arua Hospital
and
yes.
So let's not go into those
what
details.
Are you disputing?
It was not that the president was leaving that place, and that is not that is not for us for now. That's not for us for now. For now, what we are trying to...
Was he stoned when he was coming in?
No, he was going back.
So
he was going back to the helicopter.
So
let me bring in General. I'll come back to you, Doctor. General, you have participated. One thing that you were talking about, I think the three of you, that participating in all these elections. Rukunjiri went well. Bujiri, the elections ended. Jinja East, then Arua now, which turned more violent.
Even they went very smoothly.
That guy.
Shema. What about Shema? Was Shema not violent? Now, why is there a way that these elections, and of course there are a number of them coming up, is there a way that we can say that if there is no, you can go back to Electoral Commission and say, if we are not guaranteed a peaceful by-election or any election that is coming up, then we would rather not go for it. Instead of innocent Ugandans like Yasin and the other people losing their lives.
If there was genuine interest in resolving these problems, the best thing would have been establish a bipartisan committee of parliament that would go and carry out, for example, an inquiry in what happened in Arua. But the question is the will. Because when you are operating in an environment where you find that there are people who want to hang on to power at any cost, and in a situation of this nature, it's normally the government that takes the lead, more so the leader in power. But if you find that there is a leader who simply wants to hang on at any cost, that becomes the source of the problem. Because in this particular case, you'll find it very difficult to have a bipartisan committee. I was in Gulu the day when the committee of parliament was established to go and have access to the military court. I know that they were thrown out of the of the barracks. They never had access. They never attended that in the initial court-martial sitting. A committee of parliament, a parliament which is composed of the majority of the ruling party, put in place by the Speaker of Parliament. It's one of the three organs of state. And then you have them simply dismissed as they were, literally almost in a humiliating way. Fortunately today, there was access. And that's why I'm saying that I am hoping that this is not simply a tactical maneuver to buy time and also to start doing, because really the image of the regime is being, hit so hard. Because all the pictures which have been showing on the domestic channels, on the international channels, have shown a very ugly face of the regime. So I don't know whether they are simply trying to buy time and then they continue doing the same things, or whether there is a change of heart. If there is a change of heart, we would all welcome that. All societies get contradictions. At times we even get into a state of a crisis once in a while. The question is the will. If there is the will, and the government normally is the one which takes the lead. In this particular case, they'll just set up a committee, it goes, investigates, and gives us a clear picture. Right now you have contestation. Each side is giving its own story. And of course now there's social media.
And each side wants to give a story that benefits.
Absolutely. The only way you get down the bottom of this is to get people who would go and carry out an open inquiry, and then they would come and bring results. We would hope and see whether that will happen. But as long as there is a leader who just wants to hang on to power at any cost, I have a feeling that where we are heading, that the path is going to be quite slippery. So we have to keep doing everything humanly possible across the political divide to see how we can try to do the best we can to manage this change in a peaceful way, but do everything humanly possible. It's at the core of the problems we are facing right now.
Okay.
But before I conclude, I think one thing we should all at least agree upon, hopefully, across the political divide, even in the security forces, even in the government, that there is no justification whatsoever for any suspect, any person, an armed person, who's already been arrested, to be beaten up the way the journalists were beaten up, or the way these members of parliament were beaten up, or any other citizen, or even if he's not a citizen, someone who is a resident in this country.
Okay.
That the moment someone is arrested, then they must be taken through the due process of the law.
And actually what you're speaking about is
there must
even
be
in the
acceptance of
Constitution.
that.
Torture under no circumstance
Absolutely,
is permitted
yes.
by our Constitution.
Yes.
I think that is non-derogation, Article 44 of the Constitution. It's what you MPs have put in place. Thank you so much, General. But Dr. Baramusi, I want to come back to you. The will. Do you have the will to investigate honestly with a view to getting to the real problem? But two, are you scared of of Honorable Chagulanyi's recent popularity rise as NRM, and therefore you are so, you are so disorganized now because you feel that he's taking a big percentage of voters in the next election, the youth. So the president also keeps saying,
Kasiano Wadri is not a youth.
Yes.
no, Kasiano Wadri is not.
He left with Bruce, who's a youth.
That is the...
and Ejiku. And Ejiku Robert.
Out of order.
Yes.
Once likes Honorable Kasiano Wadri so much.
For anybody to say that the NRM...
Are you scared of
No,
the Honorable
Let me
Chagulanyi
answer.
Roberts?
For anybody to say that NRM is scared or shaken because of Chagulanyi or any other person, it is just laughable. It is laughable. We are not scared of anything. And actually, General said the political base of NRM is narrowing. I don't know what evidence he has. First of all, let me state that in the many cases we have mentioned of the by-elections, it is not the NRM that causes violence or initiates violence. Rather, the answer has been provided by General's comment that they want change and they are desperate Ugandans through the several elections have continued to vote for NRM at presidential, parliamentary, even local government system, and now the opposition appears desperate. They think they can use violence to capture power. I think your narrative brings out that one very clearly. And let me say...
He disagrees with you.
Okay, that's how I understood him. Because he says...
That's how he wants
Because he says...
Oh, that is how you want to understand him.
Because he says...
Yeah.
People have waited for change, it's not coming, and therefore we are going to see more violence. Those were his own words.
No.
And he was saying the path ahead
Why
is
don't
going
you
to be
say your
slippery.
own words?
You will say yours.
Stop
So-
repeating for us what he has said.
So it is very clear who is causing this violence. And the next question becomes, should violence be punished? Definitely yes. Like there has been this campaign.
Are you going to suggest in Parliament that some of the security personnel, especially those we have seen clobbering, for example, a journalist who even knelt,
No,
a
we have,
journalist kneeling.
we have already said that the security forces must do a reassessment, and definitely whoever has gone overboard must be brought to book, whether the police officers or the army, because none of us condones brutality, none of us condones torture. But also, the initiators of violence, like in Arua, those who stoned the president's vehicle, the initiators of violence in Bujiri, in Jinja East, we saw footages where on the polling day in Jinja East, the opposition people were beating women, stopping them from voting. Women were raped. And that was one reason why the NRM went back to court to produce that evidence. All those must be punished. So
What
this
about the person,
this
all
business-
the people in Mitiana, in a vehicle passing?
Yeah, that was also
Football funds.
that was also
football
unfortunate.
fans in Mitiana.
That
Are you
was
going
on-
to compensate for the loss of that life? Of
Well,
course.
the police officers who are responsible for that, I think, are already being arraigned before the courts of law, and definitely they will be punished.
No, not just police officers. Is government going to compensate for the loss
Yes,
of that
I
life?
can
Yes,
answer, I can
yes.
answer in the affirmative. The president has announced that they should be followed by the families of the victim, be followed up by the State House Comptroller, alongside the Attorney General, for purposes of compensation and any other support that they may need.
I will explain the law later.
So,
yes.
so if there are security
If you want
agents, our officers, whether police or army, that go into excesses, they will be investigated, they will be punished. But also, those who orchestrate violence, whether you are a member of parliament, a minister, a senior person, you must also face the law. That's why some of us don't necessarily agree with the campaign, free Bobi Wine. The campaign should be, let Bobi Wine face the law. If he's not involved in any offense, then he will be cleared. But that is the
opinion of people who think, from the observation, that first of all, the 2 guns were planted, that first of all, is it the berets, the red ones, they think that they were planted.
You leave that to the courts of law. You leave that to the courts of law. If he's innocent, he will be cleared by the courts. If he's found to be on the wrong side of the law, then...
And there were 5 police officers who were being forced to sign, to confess and say that we saw him.
No,
5 police officers from Marua.
Now hear him. Hear him.
Fake
news of social media.
Now.
So
you think so?
Yes, you are spreading fake news.
So I think we should desist.
I'll produce for you evidence.
We should desist from this element that Bariomus is very popular. If he's on the wrong side of the law, then he should be freed. Then tomorrow, if I am much more popular, I might be more dangerous to this country. So everybody, irrespective of your status, you should face the law. If there is suspicion.
That's a good one.
If there is suspicion that you have breached the law, let us allow the due process of the law to take its course.
Okay.
And lastly.
Yeah, finally.
Yes. When the General Muntu says the path ahead.
May I just comment on the commitment?
Yes. Wait, just after him. After him.
What he says,
I wanted to bring in Mao, but after
because
him,
he keeps complaining about the political atmosphere, and he says if we don't do something, the path ahead will be slippery. I don't know whether that one is a threat or so forth.
Why are you scared of?
No.
A warning, caution.
He's so scared because he moves with a lead car. Why would he be moving with a lead car?
It should be you who is scared.
It's you.
Because in his opening remarks, he said they went to the bush to establish a political, democratic culture in Uganda. And I wanted to say that leadership today is contested. You can only become a political leader with a president or a member of parliament or an LC1 chairperson by offering yourself to the population. That's why the candidates of his choice in Bujiri went through, in Arua went through. Are you saying the NRM caused the violence to have Honorable Waduri come as a member of parliament?
No, anger, maybe frustration.
So
that now you have
is
lost
that in Uganda,
Rukunjiri, you have lost Jinja East, you have lost Bujiri, now you are losing Arua. Maybe that, is
yes.
that the frustration?
And where we are dissatisfied, we go to court. We don't beat anybody. So the point I am making is that today in Uganda, for you
why
to access...
Why wasn't this scenario the same in Shema, which you won?
Where?
Someone was wondering.
You want us to go to court in Shema when we won?
No, why is it that there is no violence in a place which you win, if it was being caused by the opposition?
No, the opposition put all their energies...
I'm coming back to you.
I think in Shema, the opposition put all their energies in Bujiri, and they were seen on the ground.
Okay.
But the point I was making is that today, 2018, for you to access a political office from the level of president to LC1, which we have just finished, you have to offer yourself to the people, and the people choose. Okay. If they choose FDC, they vote. We have seen them choose FDC. If they choose NRM, they choose NRM. So for you to say there's no democracy, people have no political space, it's as if you live in utopia and you don't live in Uganda.
I just wanted to go to the issue of commitment.
Commitment.
And I want to link that with where NRM wins, we don't go to violence and so on. We didn't win a patch municipality.
The UPC guy won it.
Yes, there was no violence.
The one who was the dead guy.
Yes, mainly because FDC and others was completely absent, and therefore they couldn't cause fracas there.
Both
That's
of you.
not true.
Yes. Now,
That's not true. Mulindwa posted.
Well-
Mulindwa posted.
Well-
said the violence that was in Apache. You remember that post?
I don't remember.
You
it.
didn't see it.
I don't
Mulindwa
remember.
complained
Well, if
he
I did
had
see
been
it, I can't
thoroughly
remember
beaten.
it.
Conveniently, you can't
Conveniently, you
remember.
remember.
But the point I wanted to make really is about commitment. You asked whether what is the government's commitment
To resolving
to
this,
resolve and
problem
improve
and
our
investigate.
our political processes.
Yeah.
I want to say, from the time General Muntu walked into this town, there has been great improvement as a result of commitment. In 1988, the cases I was referring to, of the Dr. Luangas, of the Atwoma, or Tiberios, of somebody called John Onyango from Kibimba, the NRA did not accept to be served habeas corpus. They denied ever having certain suspects. They brought 4,000 people from northern and eastern Uganda and lodged them in Luzira as lodgers.
About 15,000.
15,000. General Muntu said 15,000. No police, no court system, into Luzira as lodgers.
And
For
that
2
was
years.
still under which commander-in-chief?
General Yoweri Museveni and General Muntu as the army commander. They did not respect habeas corpus. Today,
The buck stops with the leader.
Today, well,
Commander-in-Chief.
well, if you want to, the back to stop with the leader so that Yabu Zolo, the ones who are in the field, that's a different matter. But I am saying that time, habeas corpus, they served the army commander in 1990. Henry Kayondo, the late, the prominent lawyer here, served the army commander with the habeas corpus.
Army commander in 1990 was General Muntu.
General Muntu.
Yeah.
Habeas corpus, and they denied having John Onyango and others in the Basima house, and so on and so forth. Today, when through social media and lawyers run around, we don't want military court-martial, the DPP concedes, the government concedes, and transfers the case to the civilian court. So yes, there is a commitment. Yes, concedes. Yes, concedes. Yes, concedes and transfers these cases to the civilian court as being demanded by lawyers. Because in any case, the charges still stand, and I'm very, it is very interesting that they contested a charge which attracts 7 years in prison in case somebody is convicted, because that is the one in the court martial if they had gone that way, in preference for the one that attracts hanging.
Because they know that
Yes,
is
but
going to be
I am
lost.
simply answering the question of commitment. There has been great improvement because General Muntu is saying, why not have a bipartisan committee of parliament?
Okay.
When General Muntu was army commander, I can challenge him on this show and another day. How many media inspection did he conduct in any detention facilities of the NRA then, or UPDF?
You see,
Or how many committees of parliament did he receive in Gulu or anywhere in respect of the complaints that were abandoned then? And so I am simply concluding that the UPDF of today, the police of today, is of today, the government of today, the entire government machinery is more committed to transparency and accountability.
General,
I
you
see-
need to
I
respond to
see-
that before I bring in Chairman
I
Mao.
see, I see.
Today I'm an observer, Charles.
No, you are an active
I think you
participant.
have resolved that I should be a privileged member of the audience.
Sorry, Chairman Mao. I really apologize
Yeah?
for you. Chairman, just because OO has taken a direct hit at him, let
So
him
what
respond.
if he takes a direct hit again?
No.
Then the,
coming
then
back
the
to you.
ping pong continues.
Yes, then we'll
No,
be
not at all.
observers.
I have to step back.
General, 1 minute, respond to what OO raised, and then I go to Chairman Mao, and then a break.
I could tell Ofono Pondo even more mistakes that were made from 81 until today. Even when I was in command, I take responsibility for many of the mistakes that were made. However, the biggest challenge we have today is there going to remain continuity in terms of progression to become better and better in spite of whatever mistakes were made, even when I was in command? Or is there a likelihood that we could slide back to a point where there could even be an implosion? Because Uganda is not a unique. We have seen countries that have progressed to a point, but also degenerated and reached a point of implosion. We see countries where there was stability for a while, and then they break down. So when I bring issues that we face today, for you to go back to where we were, first is underhanded, but I have no problem. That's your style. But it should not divert us the challenges of the time.
Okay.
Because the future matters to all of us.
Yeah. The now and the future.
This is 32 years.
Yeah.
32 years. We should be much, much better than then, when we didn't even have fully established system.
Okay. Okay.
So whenever, because you see, whenever, issues come up which are of the current environment in which we are, his style is to go back in the past.
No.
I can tell you things, I can really tell you things that happened.
Probably you're not supposed to, some of them.
Are you saying it is wrong to refer to the past?
He can refer to the past, but you see, for him to say...
With what intention is very important?
That because you are in command and this is what was happening. Yes. I mean, at that time, let me tell you, for example, the habeas corpus thing that you are talking about, that's true. But you mean 32 years under, when the country has been building, and we hope that now there are courts and there are stable systems and institutions are strong, that you'd want now to do things similar to what would have happened then. Then how would we have progressed?
And that's
how would we have progressed?
Let me bring in Chairman Mao before we take in social media.
Now, even without serving habeas corpus, the DPP concedes. This is precisely what I'm saying.
Let me ask a question.
Great progress.
It's a progress.
Let me ask you a question. Because we're all political actors, different sides of the political divide. But isn't there a point where, regardless of where we belong in terms of the political divide, that there are certain realities we must face where we are at? Are you comfortable much as you are on the side of the ruling party with what is happening today? Are you aware that there is certain deep levels of anxiety within our whole society about the possibilities of change that could easily get so mismanaged? More so after we've had, as I had referred to before, the two safety valves which were built within the Constitution deliberately. Because the issue of the age limit, the issue of the term limit was put there deliberately. Because we knew that we are a young society in terms of building of institutions, in terms of democratic practices. We knew that that's something that takes time. Okay. And that however good a leader is, that when it comes to time, 2 terms, that he or she goes aside, someone else gets in. And then hopefully you keep on strengthening institutions, establishing functioning systems, and keep on moving on the road of democracy. But when you see the manner in which they were first amended, the First Amendment, you may want to say, maybe here on TV, that it was okay. This last one in December, the manner in which it was conducted, you, even as individuals, do you really feel satisfied that that was the best way in which a process like that could have been conducted?
Okay.
If you feel as individuals, and then you can look in the camera and say, yes, everything is okay. And that there is no possibility of there being a problem down the road. If things continue the way they are, without all of us pulling back and say, guys, let's confront the situation as it is now and see how to manage it better.
Okay, good. I think now we have a problem of time. Chairman Mao,
Why does it have to be a problem of time when you are about to call me?
To pick social media
no, but you have a watch.
Don't.
You are in
Chairman
charge.
Chairman Mao, first wait. And then I come back to you. I come back to you with the responses.
No, Charles.
Chairman Mao, let's just listen to me.
No, but if you bring that
Let me bring social media. Raymond, right now, my producer is telling me we need to take that, and then I come back to
you can
Chairman.
now continue the way you want.
Raymond, please.
Yes, good evening, Charles. Of course, there's also a lot of debate going on social media currently. I'll start with Yusuf here, who says Ofono Opondo should be realistic before criticizing Kyagulanyi. Did he pass by or invade rallies, trying to justify the army brutality? We have Abdul Jamal Muzamil here. Why would the security continue to beat an unarmed man who had raised his hands up in surrender? Should the Museveni of 1986 meet the Museveni of today? The 1986 Museveni will feel betrayed by the current Museveni. I hope he will go back to the library and revise his notes. We have Mr. Patrick Biekwaso here. Bariomunsi Chris, why do you want only Bobi Wine to face the law when your security forces are breaking the law with torture and need to face the law as well? Free Bobi Wine campaign is a stand against injustice to one individual. I have William Aliguma here, senior man. He asks, is compensation worth the loss of lives? And let's end here with Sainty David. This is as a result of panic by the president, since he promised that by 2021 there will be no opposition. Now he's scared by a new emerging person to the front of the wave of change. And then maybe take Austin King. Ofono Opondo, can you tell the country what happens next to the guns that were found and proved to be in possession by Bobi Wine? When will security organs stop embarrassing this country? That's all we have for Charles Odong. So, of course, do remember to tweet us on the hashtag NBS Frontline.
Okay, Chairman, let me bring back Chairman Mao at this point. No, Chairman Mao, do you think in your view that there is definite panic in the NRM? Is there such a thing? Or you think that it is just the love to torture?
I think first of all, let me try and assist the revisionists of our history and so on. The other day, OO was struggling to find something from the Bible, yet it was outside the Bible. The Bible says, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I believe you'll find it in Romans 3:23.
If you remind me tomorrow morning, yes.
I'll tweet you. I'll put it in public that it is Romans 3:23.
No excuse.
Now, redemption, salvation, or even heaven is not for saints. It is for repentant sinners. Therefore, your lot, which is unrepentant, is the one which is doomed.
We are very repentant, and that's why we are saying all mistakes will be reviewed and corrected.
That is not repentance. Actually, that is offering an explanation. So, I do not want General Muntu to fall in this usual trap. This is what he does to everybody who has ever served in the NRM or in the army. He does that all the time. But the point is, we have a court process going on. I was expecting our brother Nicholas Opio to be here.
Actually, the vehicle he was moving in had a problem.
Now, the standard of proof in criminal cases is very high. Beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
I am actually watching with a lot of interest whether this is proper prosecution, because all of a sudden, the guns, the bullets are no longer being talked about. The illegal possession of firearms, which actually he should be charged with also.
As an officer of court, you know that charges are amendable.
No, now let me educate you. Charges have counts. Even resisting arrest could be added. Yes. So the fact that you have now reduced it to treason, which seems to be what we know as a holding charge, so that you punish somebody because you have no evidence, so you keep them in jail. Now, you come to the question of the times we are in. The truth of the matter is that the brave face Dr. Baryomunsi is putting does not reflect what is on the ground. Indeed, like Saddam Hussein had Chemical Ali, Yoweri Museveni has Chris Baryomunsi. Chemical Ali could stand at the airport, his government is collapsing, and he says the Americans will drown in their own blood. I hope you know what a comic figure you cut when you defend the indefensible. I am not saying Robert Chagulanyi alone is going to come like a one-man team of bailiffs and evict you. He personifies an uprising. And it is important that you read it.
We are ready for it.
No, I'm not saying
Yes.
you may be ready with the wrong weapons, because what you are ready for actually is not going to save you. I hear people talking of 2021. I hear people talking of presidency. President of what if there's no country? First, we have to rescue the country from a gang that has captured it.
That's your usual talk for the last how many years.
The truth is, why is everybody shunning the platform for defending the government? It is OO, it is Baryomunsi. Aren't there people who have more gravitas than the two of you?
You mean they don't have gravitas?
I'm saying more gravitas. Even there are people who have more gravitas than
Mao
me.
told us he's going to give us multiple headaches in 2011.
So,
what happened?
The point is, what they are doing is called containment. Obviously, Robert Chagulanyi has put his finger on the pulse of the nation. I think he represents a new voice, and whatever else he does, or whatever thing he launches, that is up to him. But I can tell you, he symbolizes very many people. There are very many Robert Chagulanyis. Your people who are being overtaxed, they are all Robert Chagulanyis. Everybody who has been tortured, including the mayor of Kamwenge, is a Robert Chagulanyi. The other young man, Asuman, who was killed in Bujiri, is a Robert Chagulanyi or a Yasin. So, if you do not ask yourself, why are the people picking stones? Why are the people heckling the president? Then you are getting it wrong. If you are thinking of 2021, you may actually be looking at chasing the wrong ball. Okay. I don't think Ugandans are going to even wait for 2021. What we are talking about here is a regime that is busy looking for who to blame, busy looking for excuses. The only thing Ugandans may be anxious about is whether a consensus can be built among those who want change. Even you, Chris Baryomunsi, when change comes, you will also be liberated, because I don't think you believe many of the things you are saying.
Okay, let's go for a break. I need us to go for a break right now, and then when we come back, we shall be making the final rounds of our submissions. But let's go for that break right